let me start with the beat versus estimates. And you're talking about the trading business. So I know that you have mentioned the trading business this morning and talked about it being exceptional. I'm not sure that's a word you use very often. Give us the context for just how well that business has done in a quarter that you have beaten estimates.
Anna, good morning and great to see you. Thanks for having me on. Look, I think just in summary, I think, obviously the backdrop is the war in Ukraine and the tragedy that is for the people on the ground there and in the surrounding regions. It's also, of course, had an impact on energy prices globally, sparked a cost of living crisis and concerns about security of supply. And that's why you'll have seen this morning the results, the financial implications of the decision that we took 96 hours after the invasion started to exit Russia, and that's the big charge, which we can talk about. The underlying business, as you say, has performed well in the quarter. Our operations actually had their strongest reliability in a long time, which is great. Our trading business, as you said, had a very good quarter, probably the most volatile quarter in recent memory, or probably in history in the energy markets. And of course, what that trading division is doing is trying to connect supply with demand, which is a very difficult thing to do in this world at the moment. And then the convenience business also had its strongest first quarter on record. So look, underlying business is strong, $6.2 billion of underlying profit. We announced a buyback of $2.5 billion, as you said. Yeah. And as you are always interested, we drove net debt down for the 8th quarter in a row.
OK, we knew gearing would get a mention. Bernard, just focusing on the exceptional, as you describe it, performance of the trading business. I mean, was that a record performance? You mentioned some areas that turned in record performance. Was it a record performance for trading? Was it better than the very strong trading quarter that you saw in 2020?
We don't disclose the numbers for our trading business, haven't done so in the past, but it was, as you say, an exceptional quarter. It was the most volatile quarter in history in the energy markets. Our traders do a brilliant job of trying to connect supply and demand as customers are trying to figure out where to get supply from. We brought 55 cargoes of LNG, for example, Anna, into Europe over the last 5 months, 10 of those into the UK. It was also a very, very challenging quarter for that division. Incredible volatility leading to cash calls, and thankfully with the balance sheet and the scale of BP, we're able to manage that. But very grateful to the trading team, the treasury team, the risk management teams within BP, yes, a very good result.
Just a few questions on Russia. I'm not sure what you'll be able to tell me on this subject, but we've been reporting, of course, that the Russia business is that you're looking to sell it, and that might not be a surprise to many people. How likely are you to find a buyer, and what kind of buyer are you looking for?
So we announced our intention to exit Russia within about 96 hours of the invasion starting. I think we were possibly the first company to do that. What you see today, Anna, is the financial implications of that decision, a $25 billion write-down on the value of those investments. With regard to what next, our intentions are clear. Our intentions are to exit. We don't comment on commercial processes, haven't done in the past, and if it's okay, I won't make an exception in this case this morning.
OK, I mean, would you be able to take the money raised out of Russia? I'm not sure if that is something you can discuss, Bernard, but given the uncertainty about some of the sanctions environment, I wonder if you've done analysis on if you did sell it, would you be able to take money out?
So, Anna, I think, as I say, it's a commercial process. It's ongoing. Let me come back to you when we're in a position to say a little bit more, if that's OK.
OK. Can I ask you what impact it would have on your business or Russian or energy markets more broadly, if you like, if we did see the EU banning Russian oil? At the moment, we don't have a ban. It's disrupted, of course. But if there were to be a ban, are you doing analysis on how that impacts your world?
Well, obviously, the oil markets in many ways are a little bit more straightforward to resolve than the gas markets. The oil market's a much more global commodity, and a lot of those cargoes of oil provided seaborne cargoes, so to speak. So it's a slightly less challenging problem than natural gas, but it nonetheless presents challenges. What we've seen to date in the energy markets are about 1 million barrels a day of Russian crude off the market. That may double, Anna, this month when sanctions come truly into effect, and that's before the sanctions that we're talking about right now. We've got lowish stocks around the world. We've got lowish spare capacity around the world, and we have a lot of uncertainty in the market, quite frankly, whether it's with Iran, whether it's with Libya, whether it's with the global economy, whether it's with zero COVID in China. Lots of uncertainty. But I think if you step back from it, you'd say all of these things lead to a lot of volatility, and we can expect that volatility to continue. And at the same time, I think we can expect prices to remain strong, I think, for quite some time.
You've taken a charge on the business, but you are returning cash to shareholders, which no doubt they will like. You're reporting exceptional trading in some parts of your business, Bernard. No doubt politicians are also listening at this time. We've seen Italy just in the last 24 hours increasing their windfall tax on energy profits. Is that something that you're anticipating that BP will fall under? Are you expecting windfall taxes to have an impact on the company?
And this ultimately is a decision for governments, obviously. But let me say a couple of things. We should point out, of course, that it's just 15 months since BP announced its largest ever loss in history, and that's because of low oil prices. Here we are today with high oil prices and strong profits. Here's what happens when we have high oil prices. Number one, we make more money, which we use to reward our shareholders. And that's what you're seeing us do this morning, paying a dividend and a $2.5 billion of share buybacks. We should remind ourselves that shareholders are not faceless institutions. Anyone who has a pension or indeed is paying into a pension here in the UK is probably impacted by that. The second thing that happens when we make more profits is we have the capacity to invest more. And we've announced this morning that we'll invest £18 billion in Britain this decade through to 2030, but the majority of that money going into the energy transition. So we can invest more. And the final thing, Anna, that happens when we make more money is we pay more taxes already. BP will pay probably 4 to 5 times more tax this year because of oil prices than it has done over the past many years. We'll pay between £1 and £1.5 billion in taxes into the British system this year. So they're the things that happen when prices of oil are high. We don't control the price of oil and gas, but we do use it to reward our shareholders. We use it to increase investment. We're actually increasing that investment in Britain up to 15 to 20% of our global capital now going into the UK versus 10 to 15% in history, and we pay more taxes.
OK. You are focused as a business, of course, on the energy transition, Bernard, something we've talked to you about many times before. You've talked this morning about an acceleration of the energy transition. I just wonder what that means in terms of your investment spending. What share of BP's spending can we expect to be dedicated to that transition in the years ahead?
We're very clear on this. By 2025, over 40% of our capital will go into non-hydrocarbons businesses, or into what we call our 5 transition growth businesses. By 2030, Anna, that will be over 50%. And these are numbers that are up from maybe 3% in 2019. So we are all in on making the energy transition happen. We want to do so profitably. We believe we can do this in areas like EV charging. I was in Düsseldorf in Germany last week with Herbert Diess of Volkswagen. We've announced plans there to roll out 4,000 charge points across the United Kingdom and Germany over the next 2 years. We've announced a deal with DHL, one of the largest sustainable aviation fuel deals ever in our history. We're in offshore wind in Scotland now this quarter, and we've announced a new deal with Marubeni in Japan. So lots going on in this space. I think what the world is clamoring for right now is ways to diversify, make its energy more secure. I think that's good for the energy transition. I believe it will accelerate it, but it's no longer just a climate story. It is the energy trilemma. How do we give the world clean, reliable and affordable energy? And that's what BP's strategy ultimately is about.